Oh, I lost it today. I lost it. I woke up this morning and I see my water heater is broken again. All right. Now, it's a water heater. There are a lot bigger problems going on in the world, but this is the second time it has happened in the last 6 months in this year. And I just go, how could it happen so soon again to me? And I didn't lose it immediately at that. That was just a problem. I wasn't that fussed this time because the time it happened before, it was February, and obviously it was a bit cold, and you really need the water heater. And I had my kid around, he needs to get ready for school, and I'll come back to how I was treated about that time. But this time I just I was kind of chilled out about it. I was like, okay, my kid is not in town right now. It's hot outside. I can manage a few days. So the guy comes in, he looks at it, he's like, the technician comes, he goes, it's broken. And then I called him up after, I had to call him like 5 times to go, hey, I just need to know when you'll fix this. And I have to check on these guys because I know what happened last time. No one bothered calling me the whole day. So, so I get through, and this guy, he's the one when I say I lost it internally, like from the inside. I didn't really do much at my age. I try watching my blood pressure and I try not losing it. I've lived here long enough to kind of go, it's probably just not going to end well for me if I lose it. So I've learned to really control any rage. So when I say I went Karen, I went like Ka, not Karen, like just Ka, that much. And so I called this guy up and he goes, it's going to take 2 weeks. And I'm sitting there going, why will it take you 2 weeks to replace a water heater? And he goes, well, we don't have it in stock. And then I have flashbacks, of the time it happened in February. And they said the exact same script. And I went, how come you guys don't have, this is broke. Since then, I've spoken to some of the neighbors and it keeps happening. So I'm like, why do you not have stock stored when this is a common problem? So I tell him, all right, look, okay, I can't wait 2 weeks. That's ridiculous. Even because in 2 weeks, my kid is back, right? And I'm like, all right, how do we speed this up? What can I do to sort this out? I know. I said, give me your manager's number. Let me speak to someone higher up to see how I can maybe pay a bit more or something to speed up this process. And he goes, here's the manager's number. I don't have his mobile. It's his landline. I'm like, okay, cool. Where does he sit? Maybe I can go see him. He goes, he's not in the community we live in. He sits in a different office. I'm like, okay. Who's in charge here? And he names the developer. All right. And I'm like, no, I don't mean the developer. I mean, who's in charge? Like the person who's the supervisor? And he says another name of the second developer. This is the community I live in is like 2 developers that came together. And I went, no, man, I just want to know the person I can speak to. And he's like, you're speaking to me. I'm like, no. At this point, I'm just frustrated. And I tell him, listen, I just want to speak to your supervisor. All right, just give me your supervisor. And he goes, this is his name. I'm like, all right, I need a way to contact him. He's like, I'm not allowed to give his mobile number. And I know I'm making an assumption, but at least I've lived here long enough. Again, I said this twice, but my clock's like my brain's ticking going, this is a common way they try to shield the manager. He doesn't want to meet someone. And I'm like, all right, listen, where does he sit? I'll go see him. He sits in the community, right? He's like, he sits, it's a place like 5 minutes from my apartment. I'm like, cool, I'll go see him. He's like, he won't be there. And I'm like, all right, if he's not there, where is he? That was my question. He's like, he is supposed to be there, but he's moving around the community, so you won't be able to catch him. All right. This is why I need the mobile number so I can find out where he is and we can have a chat. And he's like, I'm not going to give you the mobile number. And I'm like, all right. Okay, listen, this is the guy in charge. I need to find him. Can you get him to call me? Look at me. I'm such a good person. I'm looking for solutions. All right, so I'm like, maybe he can call me. He's like, yeah, he might take 3-4 hours, but most likely tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, man. Like now you are just like really trying to take me out. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but when I first asked him how long, and he said 2 weeks, and I was like, what am I supposed to do for 2 weeks He goes, he says, you'll just have to wait. And oh my God, like that is the equivalent of telling someone who's angry to just calm down. That's the best thing you can do. It's the worst thing you can do to someone is just say, calm down, my friend. And I was just, that's how it started. I didn't lose my shit. At this point, I'm just like, dude, just get the guy to call me, please. I just want to speak to someone and really figure out what's going on. Because I also, unfortunately, having dealt with them a few times, they're not really honest all the time here. And this is a general problem with the service. Like, I feel a lot of them try to shield and protect and not really just empathize with the person on the other line. It's the way they've been built or something. I get these. It was so annoying though. And here I am now, unable to get through to someone who can actually do something because they refuse to give out their phone numbers. And I'm just stuck having to deal with these guys in these situations. So that was my day. There are times when I haven't taken my ADHD pill, and I don't like blaming everything on that, but there are days when I don't take it. There are days when I don't take it because I'm thinking, you know what, I'm just at home, I can chill out, and I can just do stuff. I can manage myself, my symptoms and stuff. I'm old enough, I'm experienced, I have enough tools and everything going on. And if I don't have like a million things on me, I'm fine. But I do find when I'm not on my ADHD pill, I lose my temper a little bit quicker because my mind's like racing over thoughts and everything, and I'm getting more angry, and I'm making myself more angry, right? So I just go, it was one of those days when I needed the pill. And I say I don't like blaming everything on ADHD is because I have been worried ever since I got diagnosed. I talked about it a lot because it's such a revelation. Look, I'm going to say this up front. If you don't have ADHD, just shut up, right? Just shut. You're not part of this conversation. If someone tells you they're ADHD, just give them some rope, all right? Just give them a little bit of like comfort, or you don't have to be like super sympathetic, but just understand, all right? Just give them a little bit leeway sometimes. For all the rest of us who are actually ADHD or neurodivergent in some ways, my whole thing was always that I was a late diagnosis, so I got so far, I should be able to get through my life. I've got enough like support systems around, and I always worry that will I turn this into a label of excuses, and that is my biggest worry. Or the other part of it was that. Or the other part of it is that I start thinking to myself that, it's who I am, and so it's an excuse for everything. And I am ADHD, but I'm also a lot of other things. And knowing something about myself, I just kind of sat there and went, well, how do I not turn this into like a thing about where I'm just talking about this aspect of me only. And also, not just that though, to become that guy, that guy who blames every situation that went wrong on the ADHD. It does have a big impact. I have seen a big difference in my life when I've learned to deal with it better, or be conscious of it, or even just have medical support or other tools that I use around much more vigilantly? No, that's not the word. More carefully. I'm just going to go with that. It's one of those days. See, I'm not on my pill. I find myself finding words harder as well sometimes. That might just be age. Anyway, I got a scratchy throat suddenly, and I think it was because I was at the theater yesterday and we're sanding the stage, and I had to run a workshop, and the guys they had hired for sanding didn't do it right. Oh my God. Today is just about complaining about service. And so I was there for 3 hours or so just inhaling it, and I feel it now, and I'm conscious. I'm thinking that's what it was. Anywho, why am I going off on a tangent? I just I just wish people would just get things done right and not fight about it. Look, mistakes happen. I make mistakes all the time. One of the things that really shocks me most, though, is the lack of people just apologizing. I know I over apologize and I could take away something from them, but I also feel like people don't apologize enough here, especially in the service sector. They just, it just reminds me, this was years ago. I think service here maybe has gotten better in certain places. But I remember I was doing a customer service training and we're talking about, look, if a mistake has been made, we got to own it with the client and acknowledge it. And, in case we have to say sorry or something, we should. It's up for debate. I was just bringing up the conversation around we are, the service agents are representative of the company. And I had this one person push back saying, well, I didn't do it, so why should I apologize? And I went, oh, that's the mentality. And that has always made sense to me over the years. And it stuck with me, that memory, because I'm like, oh, right, yes. Why should they apologize? I don't know who's right or wrong. Maybe they're right. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I do know that is the attitude that exists here quite a bit. And so how do you teach these people to take ownership, right? It's easy to blame others. And maybe I've always been so conscious of it because my dad and my mom were particularly, they drilled this thing into me about, you got to take ownership of the stuff you've done. And I find it very hard because of my personality in spite of that. But I push through it. Like, I know no one wants to be the one taking the firing or being the one that is the one having to solve the problem when they didn't do it, even when you did do it. But yeah, like there's two ways you can have, two attitudes you can have about life and how you approach it. So, God, I didn't mean to become preachy about this stuff, but it's such a passionate thing for me. I don't know why. Why does service bother? I need to go to therapy and I need to find out, dig in, why does bad service bother me so much? Why does it make me feel so bad? Why do I feel like it takes away some kind of power from me? Maybe it's people playing like status game too often with these things and trying to, I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. All I know is that it's a big bad peeve of mine. And there are probably some deeper reasons that exist in my childhood. Maybe. I don't know. It's but I was just going off on a tangent again, but service wise, I don't know, where was I? I was talking about what was I talking about? I was on about my ADHD, and I think there you go. I didn't take my meds. You're seeing this come apart at the seams in real time in front of you. This is what it looks like a million ideas and streaming off to other stuff and then going, what were we talking about, man? It does happen less to me on meds. It's crazy. And it's really funny in some ways for me as well. So I don't know. I just am always careful about just kind of going, do I just lean into it? Because it's kind of in your head. It's like a little seductive idea, like to go, I'm not just Salman, I'm ADHD Salman. I couldn't even say it with a straight face, but that idea is so seductive that it's another person and personality who's separate from everything I've done, and I could develop into something else now. I think that kind of stuff sits in with me a little bit. That maybe it's very easy to fall into that trap, and I think it's all true. So if you're ADHD, I'm not sitting here going dismiss it, but it's all true. But I think at the end of the day, the dishes need to be done, right? And you need to get on with stuff, and you got to find out your coping mechanisms or however you want to do it. But it can't just become an excuse. Now, personally, deep down inside, another thing that I really hate is our systems, having to be confined to systems. And I get that from a lot of people. I don't know if it's just ADHD people, but a more wider thing. I have other reasons why I know at the back of my mind too many rules and stuff bother me. But I've learned that if I'm not watching my systems, and that could be budgets or Excel sheets or God, it's just saying that that's the kind of stuff that doesn't make it to TikTok videos, right? No one is no one is making a video viral about your personal growth in how you stayed home and made a sandwich instead of eating out. That's not sexy. So I think that's why that part, the real stuff, doesn't make it online. But it's so essential. You got to have systems. You got to work out what makes you function better and not make excuses. I'm going to end on that because it makes me sound like I'm super positive, especially when I started this episode talking about being angry and losing my self-control. All right. See you in the next episode.